Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And before we get started, we just want to have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And we'll do lunch now, and then the ceremony will start at noon. Thank you. Good afternoon. Can I have everyone please stand for the national anthem? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Thank you for being here. I'm Steve Engel, the Chancellor of the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our annual Veterans Day Luncheon. We appreciate the Chattanooga Symphony and Opera String Ensemble for providing music for today's Veterans Day Luncheon. Thank you all. Let's give them a round of applause. So at this time, will all veterans please stand so that we can recognize you? Please. So words cannot express the debt your country and each of you owe to you for your service. We appreciate all that you do. And for our students, faculty, and staff who are veterans who are here, thank you for what you're continuing to do to have such a positive impact on our campus, on our community, and helping our students appreciate the sacrifices of those who have really provided a great opportunity for all the rest of us. I am not a veteran, but I certainly appreciate all of you who have served. So I appreciate you all coming to this event today. And you know, I couldn't let this go by without bragging about one of the accomplishments of a group here. I am excited to announce that the Military Times has recognized UTC as the #1 institution for military veterans in the state of Tennessee. So this prestigious recognition highlights our steadfast commitment to providing exceptional educational opportunities and support for our veterans. And I'd like to extend a special thank you to Savannah Matthews, the Director of the Veteran and Military Affairs Office at UTC, and her entire team. Would they stand if you hear? I know Savannah's here down front, so. This does not happen by accident. It's a lot of hard work, commitment, and I hope support from the campus where you feel we respect your work so much because we have to help our veterans. You look at the program, we have the Veterans Entrepreneurship Program, which is something that's housed in our Gary W. Rollins College of Business. Dean Robert Dooley has led that, and it is a community-wide commitment to help businesses get started, businesses that are launched by veterans. And what a great opportunity. So our office for students who are coming here to campus, trying to navigate higher education, we appreciate the hard work of our Veterans Office. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. David Rausch, who is going to make an introduction of our keynote speaker. But Professor Rausch is Associate Dean in the College of Health Education and Professional Studies and Director of the Learning and Leadership Program. He's a U.S. Navy veteran, enlisting out of high school and attaining the rank of E5 or Petty Officer during his 4+ years in the military. He's the recipient of the UT System 2023 President's Award in Nimble and Innovative category, which honors an individual who inspires creative and transformational action. And another veteran who's making a great impact here on campus. Please join me in welcoming Dr. David Rausch to the podium.
So this is really an honor for me. Thank you, Dr. Engel, and welcome to everyone who's here, all of the guests. I've known our speaker for about 13 years. I was fortunate enough to work with him in our doctoral program, the leadership program, as he pursued his PhD in leadership. He has a common denominator in all the things he's done, and for each of you, while he's going to give an incredible speech, I'm sure, you also have this card on your table. On the back of this card are some of the accomplishments of our speaker, and I'd invite you, as you have a chance, to take a look at it. Service and serving others is what he's about. His family, his country, his colleagues, all the students, everyone recognizes that he's proud to serve others, as well as contribute to their success, making a contribution. In our leadership programs, we talk about what's important to us is less about me and more about we. And it makes a difference. It's not mere semantics. And he exemplifies that. So he's a retired lieutenant colonel, U.S. Army. Dr. Harbison is a decorated veteran. He's a sought-after executive coach and a successful scholar practitioner. He serves as a professor of practice at our university, and he works with undergrad and graduate students in our program. We're very fortunate to be able to work with, for, and around as we work on a team with Dr. Harbison, and we're fortunate enough to have him today to speak to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. John Harbison.
It always makes me nervous when I step on it and the step starts to creak. Thank you, Dr. Rausch, Dr. Engel. Today, when I was preparing for this presentation, I thought not about spending a lot of time on those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. I wanted to spend more time about you, the veterans that are now working out in society. I decided I would do this not by spending a lot of time telling war stories, and Dr. Roush and Dr. Crawford knows that I've got a million of them. But by focusing on the results from my service. I began my time right here, 45 years ago, at UTC, commissioned as second lieutenant. I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, artillery school for my initial training, and then quickly went to what was then called the Federal Republic of Germany, more commonly West Germany. My unit, we patrolled the east-west German border. So that was our primary mission. So I had just turned 21 years old, and I was now in charge of 20 people and over $2 million worth of equipment. I had to grow up quick. Luckily, being in the military, having other officers and NCOs to help me, I rose to the challenge. The other mission that our unit had, a wartime mission, was we were to but try to slow down any attacking Soviet forces that would come into Germany. We made a name for ourselves. We were a DIP unit, die in place. That's what we all knew. That's what was expected. We didn't feel any anxiety or angst over it because it was what we signed up for. This first assignment was the beginning of a learning experience which has helped me develop abilities, values, drive, and what I call stick-to-itiveness, which initially I did not possess. I say I'm a closet introvert, but I was not allowed to do that. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this assignment helped me personally by providing me the opportunity to meet my wife, Miriam, who has been by my side for 42 years. The values, skills, and mission focus I learned early made my career in the U.S. Army successful and mostly enjoyable. Towards the latter days of my time in the Army, I represented the U.S. government in coordinating exercises with European countries, mainly those in NATO, Spain, Portugal, England, the Netherlands, Norway. But also, as the Soviet Warsaw Pact had fallen apart, we were reaching out to schedule exercises with them as well to help pull them more towards us, be connected more with the United States, and away from the Soviet Union. That's why currently what's going on in Ukraine is near and dear to my heart, because that was one of the countries I worked with, as well as Poland and then Czechoslovakia. My final assignment was in the Pentagon. It was 1 year before the 9/11 attack when I left. I was sitting in my first civilian job. I've been there a month. Well, it wasn't my first, but it was the first permanent one. And when the attack occurred, the plane hit the building where my office was on the ground floor. And I'm wondering, what am I doing in Chattanooga? I retired after 22 years of service to come home to take care of my terminally ill mother. I then realized I now had to go to work for them, civilians. Even though we had sworn an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, we really didn't like to be associated with civilians. We didn't understand them, they didn't understand us or what we could do. This was pretty evident when I went for my first job interview with Cigna Healthcare. The interviewer asked me the standard, I call it a bogus question, give me your strengths and weaknesses. I said, okay, well, for weaknesses, I don't know doodle about insurance. I've been in the Army for 22 years. We didn't have to worry about insurance. I said, but what I do know is I've demonstrated a work ethic, goal orientation, ability to work with others towards a common goal, and some people would call that leadership, oral and written communication skills, and a core set of values to care for those and nurture those around me or that are in my charge. I got the job. Getting in the door allowed me to demonstrate my abilities, and then in a fairly short time, I was able to move into the learning organization and progress to make my family financially secure. Oh, by the way, it helped me get my PhD too, because they paid for 3/4 of it. Insignia University, I was able to share my experiences in the Army, as well as to share the learning that I was achieving as a part of the Learning and Leadership program here at UTC. It was very fulfilling to share my experiences with managers that were new to management and those individuals who had been designated as high potential leaders. I was surprised and somewhat taken aback by how little those in leadership roles really understood or knew or appreciated the leadership process or how to influence others towards a common goal. I felt lucky in that I could help them gain an appreciation for these skills so that they would be successful in various positions. However, after a while, the work became monotonous, and I felt it was time to look for other opportunities. Upon completion of my PhD program, I walked up to Dr. Roush and said, "I want to come work for you." He said, "Okay, you're ready, reserve." A year later, he hired me as a lecturer, and now I'm a full professor of practice in the department. I present this short story, this short history. Again, I promise no war stories, but I wanted to use them as an application of a book that I just recently read by Mike Schindler. It was about the U.S. veterans in the workforce, and hopefully you'll see where I'm going with my stories and the connection here. His premise was that 7% of the Americans, those who had served in the military, are America's greatest asset. He proposed 8 attributes which make veterans great assets to the country and any organization in America. He stated grit, adaptability, perseverance, solution-minded, optimism and faith, loyalty, values, and respect. These are all ingrained in veterans due to their experiences in the military. After the reading of the book, I reflected on it. I said, man, this guy's hit the nail on the head. And it really resonated with me as I tried to transition into the civilian sector. Early, I struggled. Well, what did you do in the military? I was an artillery officer. Well, what does that mean? I don't know. So it really helped me understand and start to peel the onion that we do bring a lot to the table. When we talk of grit, we mean the discovery of who we are and what we are made of. And I think back of the days of border duty, going to the field in Germany for 30 days during the winter, knee-deep snow, you might get a shower once every 2 weeks. Dealing with a Ukrainian general who wanted the United States to pay for an aspect of the training exercise. It was a tennis court. Had nothing to do with it. And having to tell him no when all of his underlings were scared to death of him. That was grit. Adaptability was a requirement of everyone. Plans never go as they are intended. Once you begin to execute a plan, you better have multiple backups to mitigate any unforeseen events. Again, this ability was expected from a second lieutenant when unexpectedly, during an exercise, I had to move 12 howitzers and ammunition carriers down walking trails and across a bridge not rated to carry 12 tons. We did. The bridge held, and we weren't overrun during the exercise. Solution-oriented is part and parcel of each mission, training event, reconnaissance. We do what we need to do to get there. I was a motor officer for an artillery battery, and I had the task of making sure our vehicles were operational and functioning. Sometimes parts weren't available. I'd had to get in my vehicle, travel across Germany with some extra parts for tying down equipment on rail to trade for parts. Mission was job one. Without optimism and faith, any member of the military would not be able to function. We were confident in our abilities and knew our country and our fellow soldiers would not let us down, even when we were in the die-in-place unit. Our country would not let us down, nor let our families down if war had occurred. Loyalty to others, to the team, and the country provided us with the knowledge we were not alone. We were providing the protection to those we cared about. Even when my first battery commander exhibited all the negative qualities of someone in a leadership role. He was self-serving, putting himself before soldiers, lying, taking responsibility for the good things, throwing soldiers under the bus for the bad things. We demonstrated loyalty to the unit and the soldiers. I teamed up with our first sergeant to make sure all the actions the commander did that would hurt the soldiers or hurt the unit were diminished or counteracted. Some may call this disloyalty, yet we were loyal to the larger team, like being loyal to the Constitution rather than an individual. Values instilled in each member of the armed forces provides everyone a lens through which to assess and decide their daily actions. One example I shared in my classes in Cigna and UTC is that value of setting the example. As an officer, we were expected to set the example for our soldiers and our NCOs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Yes, even on the weekends. For example, I would not go outside of our quarters without shaving. I'm afraid that it would give a bad example to my soldiers. An officer would end their career if they were caught driving under the influence and given a citation. As an officer, we were expected not only to meet the expectations, but exceed it. Each member of the military demonstrates respect to others on a daily basis, whether it's through a salute, providing subordinates opportunities to progress or learn or grow, or through the adherence to the values and traditions each has sworn an oath to protect. As an officer, I was in a higher position of authority and responsibility, yet I had immense respect for the non-commissioned officers who worked with me and for me. Without that respect, I would have failed in my role, the unit could have suffered defeat, or an individual could have been hurt or killed. The old saying, "There is no I in team," further demonstrates this respect we had for each other. However, not until I read Mike Schindler's book and reflected on my own struggles to acclimate to the civilian world did I fully appreciate what veterans bring to the table for organizations, and also how much not only do veterans not appreciate their own skills and values, but they are not understood or appreciated by the individuals who have not served. My time serving our country, making sacrifices by being away from family, living in somewhat less than desirable locations and facilities, and earning a salary well below many of my contemporaries were making, has served me well throughout my professional career. My service has provided me with opportunities and experiences many who have not served cannot comprehend or imagine. I would not change a thing. So in closing, I want to leave you with 3 thoughts. First, I want you to reflect on the lessons, skills that you have learned as a result of your service. You can bring to the table many valuable assets our countries, companies, and organizations need to be successful. Second, I ask you to help other veterans and help other civilians who have not served to understand these skills, to promote those skills, to let them show how they can add to the organization. And finally, I want to thank you for your service and thank you for allowing me to serve. Thank you very much.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Looks like it still works. Thank you so much for, again, inviting me to be a part of this wonderful celebration. I'm thankful for people like Tanya and Savannah, who don't just recognize and support our veterans on Veterans Day, but do it every day of the year. And this campus is full of people who support you and care about what you do as veterans and as students. My name is Fran Randolph, and I'm from an organization called the Quilts of Valor Foundation. Quilts of Valor was founded 21 years ago by a mom who had a son in Afghanistan at that point. And she said that she was seconds away from panic 24 hours a day. You wives, you mothers, you sweethearts, you know what that's like. He was on top of a Humvee. She never knew what the next message would be. She had a dream one night. It was a literal dream. And in that dream, she saw a soldier sitting on a cot. And she saw that he was just racked with war demons. Those who've been to war, you know what that's like. She started awake and went back to sleep and saw that same soldier, except for now, he was at peace. He was a completely different person. She realized at that point how quilts and comfort went hand in hand. And she decided that she was going to get some friends together and make quilts to honor the men and women who were coming home from war at that point. She made a goal to make 100 quilts in a year. Very aggressive goal. Good to have goals. She made 100 quilts, but it took about 3 years to do it, but they stuck ahead. More and more Americans around the country realized what this was all about and wanted to join in the mission. We now have over 10,000 men and women around the country involved with Quilts of Valor, and to date we have now awarded 400,903 quilts. It's a great beginning, but there are many, many more who need to know that America does care. Not just those that are coming home from war now, those from World War II, from the forgotten Korean War, from Vietnam, from the Gulf Wars, and all the rest in between. They need to know that America does care. Some were never welcomed home, especially those Vietnam vets. They were spat upon, degraded. They came not to any kind of a hero's welcome, but many lost jobs and lost friends, lost employment because they were baby killers. And they answered the call of duty and did what they were supposed to do. We're trying to make a difference. We're letting them know, but we can never say it loud enough. Quilts of Valor is a part of that. When we make quilts, we have 3 main messages. 1, we want to honor you. We honor you for leaving all that you hold dear to put yourself in harm's way or in potential harm's way. You don't have to have bullets flying at you to be affected by war. We thank you for that sacrifice. We also know that freedom is never, never, never free. And the cost of freedom is dedication of men and women just like you, who gave and who went and did what they were told. And third, our quilts are for comfort. Nobody goes to war and comes back the same. Sometimes the injuries are easy to see, but many times the injuries are in the heart and in the head. The things that you saw and did that you wish you didn't. Memories that you can't let go of. Dreams that you continue to have. Our quilts are to help with that process. They're to wrap around yourself. And number 1, remember that you care. You are cared for. People appreciate you. That what you did made us who we are. We are people who can go to a voting booth and make our voices known. We are people who can speak out. We can go to the places of worship. We can do these things because of you. Less than 7% of Americans are veterans, and we are appreciative the very much you do to make us who we are. At this time, I'd like to award 4 of the veterans in this room with a quilt. Donnie Hodge, would you come forward, please? Petty Officer, 2nd Class, Donnie Hodge, served in the Navy. He served from 1987 to 1993. He served during the Mediterranean deployment in 1989 as well as 1992. Thank you, Donnie, for your service. Donnie, just recording a second, please. Donnie, as well as our other recipients, will also be receiving a certificate. On that, it says, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, in recognition for your service and sacrifice for this nation, it's a privilege to serve honor and comfort upon you through the award of this Quilt of Valor. Though we may never know the depths of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America, as a gesture of gratitude from a grateful nation, we award you this Quilt of Valor. I also want to introduce Ann and Jim Kearney. This is great that I have help today. I'm not used to this. Ann and Jim are a part of our team here in the Chattanooga area that make and award quilts, and we are appreciative of them. Our second recipient is Specialist Garrett Davis. Specialist Davis served in the Army, the Alabama Army National Guard. He is currently serving. He started in 2021. He has been deployed to Eastern Europe. Our third recipient, oh, I bet that went, oh, it's still going, good. Our third, is going to something, but I guess not. Our third recipient is Victor Howell. Sergeant Howell is a Marine. My husband's a Marine, so I know you're never not a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine, right? Hoorah. I never can get that one right. Sergeant Howell served from 1975 to 1979. He was deployed in the 1st Marine Aircraft Wing in Okinawa, Japan. He also was in the Bronco Unit and the Light Attack and Reconnaissance Observation Squadron. As support personnel in the aviation operations, he organized and entered flight plans, posted landing facility charts, flight information manuals, and submitted orders. He was deployed several times and continuing his role in organizing and entering flight data to ensure mission success. Thank you for what you did for us, sir. Our fourth and final for today is Dr. Mike Brakey. He told me that. He served in the United States Air Force. My dad was also career Air Force as well as my son. He served from 1986 to 2007. Served for 22 years. He was deployed at Operation Southern Watch, the Southern Fly Zone at the end of Desert Storm, Operation Provide Freedom in Iraq and Turkey, Operation Provide Promise in Bosnia. I never can remember that H word. You guys know it. Hergenovia. That one. Operation Joint Endeavor in Bosnia. Operation Joint Guard, enforcements of the Dayton Peace Accords. Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Operation Enduring Freedom in the Sub-Saharan Africa. And also in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Thank you, sir. I know that many here, others are veterans as well. If you know of someone that you feel like could really use the message that they're appreciated, please let me know. I've got some cards I'll pass out to you that how you can nominate somebody in any venue that you would like, or in their homes or wherever. We are a total voluntary organization. People of America reaching out to people of America. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just would like to recognize the recipient of the Sergeant David Alex Stevens Scholarship. This year's recipient is James Sellers. Please stand. Thank you. And that concludes our ceremony today. Thank you for joining us today, and happy Veterans Day, everyone.